everyone. Welcome to Lingo Dots Podcasts, the place to learn and talk about everyday topics in simple English. We're so happy to have you here today.
Yes, welcome. Today we're talking about something very important, renting a house. Have you ever wondered what renting really means? Or why people rent homes instead of buying them?
That's a great question. Renting a house means you live in a home that belongs to someone else. You pay money every month to live there. The person who owns the house is called the landlord, and the person who rents it is the tenant.
Exactly. Renting is a good option for people who can't buy a house right now or for those who don't want to buy. It's flexible and works in many situations.
Stick with us as we break down everything about renting, step by step. Let's get started.
So let's start with the basics. Renting a house means paying money to live in a home that is not yours. Someone else owns it, and that person is called the landlord.
Right. The person who lives in the house and pays the landlord is called the tenant. Rent is the money the tenant gives to the landlord every month. It's like paying for the service of having a place to live.
That's a good way to put it. Now, why do people rent houses? Some people can't afford to buy a house right now. Others don't want to own a house because they might not stay in one place for long.
Yes, renting is a good choice for short-term or long-term needs. If someone moves to a new city for work, school, or family, renting is often the easiest option.
Another reason is that renting doesn't require a big payment up front. Buying a house is very expensive, but renting is more affordable in the beginning.
And it's flexible. If someone only needs a place for a few months, they can rent without committing to owning a house. It's a good way to have a home without a long-term responsibility.
Exactly. Renting is a smart solution for many situations, but there's a lot more to know, like the rules and how to find a good house to rent. Let's talk about that next.
So, why do people rent houses? One big reason is work. Imagine you get a new job in a different city. You need a place to stay quickly, right? Renting makes that easy.
That's true. School is another reason. Many students move to a new city or country for their studies. Buying a house for a short time doesn't make sense, so they rent.
Exactly. And let's not forget family. Some people rent to be closer to their loved ones. Maybe they want to live near parents, siblings, or other family members.
Another reason is money. Buying a house costs a lot. You need to save for years or take a loan. But renting only needs a smaller payment each month. It's easier for many people.
Yes, and renting also gives freedom. You can move when you need to. If your job changes or you want to live in a different place, it's simple to rent somewhere else.
That's what makes renting so popular. It's flexible and works for many different needs. Renting really helps people find a home without big stress.
When you rent a house, there are always rules. These rules are made by the landlord, and the tenant must follow them.
Yes, and the rules can be different for every house. For example, some landlords don't allow pets, like dogs or cats, in the house.
That's a common rule. Another one is about painting the walls. Many landlords don't let tenants paint or change anything in the house without asking first.
And keeping the house clean is another rule. The landlord expects the tenant to take care of the house. If the house is damaged or very messy, there could be problems.
Following the rules is very important. It helps the tenant avoid trouble, like being asked to leave the house. It also keeps the landlord happy.
That's true. When both the landlord and the tenant follow the rules, renting works well for everyone. It's all about respect and clear communication.
Exactly. Now that we know about the rules, let's talk about how to find a good house to rent. There are many ways to do that.
Now, let's talk about finding a house to rent. It's the first step when you decide to rent. One popular way is to search online. There are websites and apps with houses listed for rent.
That's right. Online searches are fast and easy. You can see pictures of the house, read details about it, and check the price. Some websites are free, while others might ask for a small fee to help you contact landlords.
Yes, but online searches aren't the only way. Newspapers are another good option. Many newspapers have a section with ads for houses. These ads often include the size of the house, location, and rent cost.
It's a bit old-fashioned, but still helpful, especially if you don't use the internet often. Plus, some people like having the details printed in front of them.
Another way is asking people you know, friends, family, or co-workers. Sometimes landlords don't advertise online or in newspapers. Instead, they tell people they know.
That's true. Asking people you trust can be very helpful. They might know about a house that's perfect for you. Plus, it can save time because they give you direct and honest information.
Each method has its pros and cons. Online searches are fast, newspapers are simple, and asking friends feels personal. It's good to try more than one way to find the best house for you.
Exactly. Once you find some options, the next step is to check the details and pick the right house. Let's discuss that next.
Finding a house is exciting, but it's important to check a few details before making your choice. The first thing to think about is the location. Is the house close to your work or school? Is it near public transport, like buses or trains?
Good location is so important. It can save you time and money every day. Imagine living far from everything. You'd spend hours traveling.
Exactly. Another thing to check is the size of the house. Does it have enough rooms for you and your family? A small house might not work if you need space for everyone.
True, but a big house might also be too expensive. That's why checking the cost is another key step. Make sure the rent fits your budget. You don't want to struggle to pay every month.
And don't forget extra costs. Sometimes you need to pay for water, electricity, or internet separately. These are called utilities. Knowing all the costs helps you plan your budget better.
That's a great point. It's also smart to compare houses. Look at the location, size, cost, and extra details for each house. Then, choose the one that works best for your needs and budget.
Taking time to check these details will help you find a house you'll enjoy living in. Now, let's move on to what happens when you meet the landlord.
After finding a house you like, the next step is to talk to the landlord. This is an important step because you need to ask questions and get clear answers before deciding.
That's right. One of the first questions to ask is, how much is the rent? You need to know if you can afford the house. It's also good to ask when the rent is due each month.
Yes, and don't forget about utilities. Ask if things like water, electricity, or internet are included in the rent. If not, you'll need to pay for them separately, and that's an extra cost to plan for.
Another good question is about furniture. Some houses come furnished, with beds, tables, and chairs. If the house isn't furnished, you'll need to bring your own furniture.
That's a great point. It's also important to ask about the rental period. Does the landlord allow short stays, or do you need to rent for 6 months or a year?
Yes, and make sure to ask about the rules. For example, Does the landlord allow pets? Can you smoke in the house? Knowing these rules helps you avoid surprises later.
Finally, ask who will handle repairs. If something breaks, like a tap or a light, will the landlord fix it, or is it your job?
Talking to the landlord is your chance to understand everything about the house. Clear answers help you feel confident about your decision. Once you're ready, the next step is signing the rental agreement.
Once you've talked to the landlord and are happy with the house, the next step is signing the rental agreement. This is a very important document.
Yes, it's also called a lease. The agreement has all the rules about renting the house. Both you and the landlord need to sign it to make it official.
One key part of the rental agreement is the rent amount. It tells you how much money to pay each month. It also says when the rent is due, like the first day of the month.
Another important part is the length of the rental period. For example, it may say you can stay for 6 months or 1 year. You need to know this before signing.
House rules are also written in the agreement. These might include things like no pets, no smoking, or keeping the house clean. Some agreements also mention a security deposit. This is extra money paid at the start, which the landlord keeps to fix damages if needed.
Before signing, read the agreement carefully. If something is not clear, ask the landlord to explain. Once you sign, you agree to follow all the rules.
That's why it's important to take your time. After signing, keep a copy of the agreement. It's good to have for future reference. Now, you're ready to move into your new house.
After signing the rental agreement, it's time to move into your new house. Moving can be exciting, but it takes good planning to make it smooth.
Yes, start by making a list of things you need to bring. Your list might include clothes, kitchen items like plates and pans, and personal things like your toothbrush and towels.
If the house is furnished, check what is already there. For example, does it have a bed, chairs, or a table? If not, you'll need to bring or buy those items.
Before moving your things in, check the house carefully. Look at the doors, windows, lights, and water taps. If anything is broken, tell the landlord right away. This avoids problems later.
That's a good tip. When you start unpacking, do it step by step. Begin with items you need every day, like kitchen tools, clothes, and bedding.
Labeling boxes can also help. If you write what's inside on each box, you'll save time finding what you need while unpacking.
And don't forget to organize your furniture. Arrange it in a way that feels comfortable and makes the house feel like home.
If moving feels too hard, ask friends or family to help. They can make the process faster and easier. Remember, there's no need to rush. Take your time and enjoy setting up your new home.
That's it for today's episode of Lingo Dots Podcasts. We hope you enjoyed learning about renting a house and found this information helpful.
Yes, renting can seem tricky at first, but with the right steps, it can be a smooth and easy process. From finding a house to moving in, you're now ready to handle it with confidence.
Thank you so much for listening. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover next, let us know. Maybe there's someone's biography or an everyday topic you're curious about. Just share it with us.
And don't forget to like this podcast, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Lingo Dots Podcasts for more fun and simple English learning. See you next time.
Bye for now, and happy learning.